I can't tell the story is hilarious or heartbreaking. I think you'll decide. There's a pastor in Colorado that scammed his congregation out of $3.2 million. No, it's a heartwarming story. It was all for crypto. He made a coin. And he passed it off to his congregation, saying that the Lord wanted to bless them. And then they invested. And then he's now been caught and is being charged with fraud. And he pocketed 1.3 million of the 3.2 million. And so he came out and he made a video. And in the apology video, he is very honest. He's like, listen, the Lord spoke to my wife and I and said to, make this coin and everything. And I even said to God, I like how he acts like God is a guy, just like, and that he's a guy that he can't get on the phone right now, but was talking wild a couple weeks ago. And so he's like, and then look, I was even asking God, because I'm not even omniscient like God is. I'm not over here like God. And I even asked God, I was like, where's the liquidity going to come from? And honestly, if your pastor ever says liquidity to you, that should be the first sign to run. Run as fast as you can, as far away as possible. And so he's like, I even asked God, where's the liquidity gonna come from? And God said, trust me. And so then I immediately told you it would be fine. That's my bad. I want you to know, out of that 1.3 million that my wife and I pocketed, 500,000 went to the IRS, which is a meaningless detail, by the way. Like, yes, you paid your taxes, but that's just a weird thing that the pastor did to be like, hey, look, while we're being honest, I got fucked too, okay? IRS really get everybody, don't they? It's like, as much as we hate the IRS, you're not gonna flip this around on them right now. And then he got caught and he's like, yes, we did spend it on some trips and a home renovation that the Lord told us to do. I'm starting to think that Lord is just some guy's last name to him. Just a Marcus Lord that does a lot of cocaine. It's like, I got a new coin. You should tell your peeps, you should get them in on it. Because I've read a good portion of the Bible, and I don't know. No, like, I'm not saying I'm smarter than everyone that was in the congregation. I'm expressly not saying that. Like, but it is a thing where it's like, if you read the Bible, what he's saying will be weird. You know what I mean? Like, if you read the Bible and you have a general understanding of it, when a guy comes to you and he's like, listen, the Lord about them gains, okay? I think it makes it easier for you to be like, oh, I think this guy is full of shit. Thank you. But that's a scary thing, though, is that, like, there's a blurred line now, blurred almost to the point of being indistinguishable between, like, pastors and influencers. You know what I mean? Like a pastor used to be, at least where I come from, a pastor used to at least be poor. You know what I mean? When a pastor is poor, they're very easy to believe. Because you see how poor they are, and they're like, oh, you really about that life. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like a poor pastor is like it's like a gang member that has been shot a few times, where you can see the lumps. And you're like, oh, you're really dangerous, okay. A pastor that's poor makes a more convincing argument. Because even when you try to check their work, you're like, if nothing else, even if they are absolutely out of their mind, they at least believe this because they're willing to dedicate their whole life to, and to it exactly, to it only, right? To whatever mission they feel like God has led them to. They're willing to focus solely on that to the point of being completely removed from the world, right? So any worldly thing doesn't affect them. They have no interest in it. They're only focused on whatever the thing is. Maybe it's helping people. Maybe it's spreading the word. Maybe it's knocking on doors at 6 a.m. or whatever they feel led to do. And then a rich pastor tells, a rich pastor has a more alluring argument. Because a rich pastor rolls up in a Rolls Royce in a $10,000 suit with a $200,000 watch and a pinky ring. Like, the amount of pastors dressing like pimps needs to be talked about. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's too many wires crossing with, like, I'll see a pastor dressed fully like Don Bishop Juan, and I'll be like, oh, yes, you are pimping your congregation. Yes, I get it. Wow. And in their faces too, you're brazen with it because you dress rich in front of them and they're poor to make you rich. And wow, that is ballsy. Maybe you do have God's protection. That's crazy that you're going to do that in their face. And then you tell them what you buy. If you see these televangelists, they tell the people what they bought with the money that they said was going to missions and to... Because when the plate is getting passed around, it's so that we can help the poor and that we can spread the word and that we can, sort of build up the church to have things for you as a community. One of the only reasons to have church is for a community. It doesn't even have to be fully like-minded people. It can just be people that you feel like safe and in communion with. And so, yes, sometimes everybody pulls their money together and then they're like, what would be great is a rec center for the kids. And then a church will put all their money into building a building that could be a rec center for the kids so that they don't get in trouble. There are lots of things and ways that churches spend money that I do think are good. And so when I see like a mega church's facilities, I'm not immediately skeptical. It's when I see the person and he's dressed so much like a pimp. Like, I cannot stress this enough. It is full pimp outfit. Like, it's to the point of tacky. Like, we're not even talking about just because he has a suit. I'm talking about he has like, they are all stopping short of a cane. Like, they're millionaires in your face and they're telling you, I have all this stuff because, because God blessed me with this jet. I purchased this jet for the Lord. So that I could fly from place to place quicker, spreading the message. And I would even believe that if we didn't have Zoom. If Zoom was not a thing, I would get a pastor being like, I have to get over there to spread the word as quickly as possible. They don't know. They have no idea. And it's not like we can send them a telegram or something. It's not like there's been iterations of communication for decades that would negate me buying a jet to fly it to, I'm not going to tell you where. Like, how did we get here? And look, it is probably, it's probably an easy thing to have happen. It is. It's probably, I think that I'm trying to be gracious for a second. I really am. I'm trying to extend an olive branch for a second and just, no, just hear me out. I do think that there's something that speaks to these pastors. But I think what has happened is that they have mistaken God for their intrusive thoughts. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know all of you. I don't know, exactly what your lives are like. I don't know if you grew up with religious or not, or what religion or anything. I'm just saying, as individuals, every single one of us here, if we were to lead a congregation and we were to pass around a jar or a plate, collection plate, anything like that, and everybody gave something because we made a compelling case that it is your job as a citizen of the world to help people that you may never meet, right? Is your actual duty as a living, breathing, empathetic individual that you have to do something if someone somewhere is hurting. You don't need to know them, and you don't need to know why they got there. That's none of your business. It's important to help someone. And then the plate gets passed around, and you make such a compelling argument that everybody puts, $1, $5, $10, or like the Bible says, 1/10 of their income to help the poor. And then church is over. Everybody leaves. And then you go to the back office where they have piled up all the money, and you do look at it and go, nigga, we rich. I mean, wow. Oh, we really cooking right now. Oh, man, I'd get the pinky with the soup. Oh. I'm not going to get the cane. That's too much, but oh. Just looking at a pile of money, a pile of envelopes with 1/10 of someone's paycheck in order for them to either spread the word of God or help people that they will never meet, build a well, do something. Do something so it matters that we were here, right? And then you see the money and it's stacked pretty high because it's a big church. And you look at all that money and it's hard not to be like, game time? That's a tough thing. A friend said to me today, because I was telling him about the story, and he said to me that if churches did what they were supposed to do, we might not have much homelessness. You know what I mean? Like if churches were really about it, in a compelling way, in a way that was genuinely uncomfortable. In a way that was like, I'm gonna tell you a story, and you're gonna judge me, but it's fine. I was at a theater when I first moved to Chicago. And when I first moved to Chicago, I didn't have any money, right? And I especially did not have much to spare. But I was at a show, and I was at that show because it was free. So it was a free midnight show that I loved so much. I made sure to go there every Thursday night because I knew it was a free show. I could do something. I could meet other comics. I could, learn by watching them and everything, because everyone on the show was incredibly funny. It was actually a sketch show, ironically enough. And there was a person that came in, and she came in and she clearly had nothing, right? Her clothes were torn and everything. Her hair was a little messed up, and she had a little bit of a limp. And she was asking people for change. And you gotta remember, this is like a kind of swanky place. Like it has a little bit of that underground grunge feel to it, but it's also like a nice place with a nice bar and everything. And so everybody was like, no, 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 no. And everyone was varying degrees of like just ignoring, politely saying no, being aggressive, get out of here sort of thing. And then someone came and they asked her to leave, right? And so I see all that happen. I'm sort of sitting in the back towards where the showroom is. And then this was all happening towards the front. She didn't get far in. I watch the show. And I'll be honest, I didn't really think about her while I was watching the show. I was thinking about what an incredible show this was, how thankful I was that it was free and everything. And then the show lets out. And I guess because a couple hours had passed, she gave it another try. So she came in She was asking people for change. And once again, it was varying degrees of not looking at her, asking her to leave them alone and everything, politely saying no. And so then I had about like $3 in my pocket. And so I saw her the second time, and I felt so bad about how the first time went and that I didn't do anything, that I went ahead and I gave her the $3. And when I gave her the $3, she took it and she looked at me and she said, "Oh, thank you so much." And then she jumped and hugged me tight. And what should have been a sweet moment was mainly just me being like, "Oh my God, oh 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 my God, oh, 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 oh." And then she walked off, happy as could be, walked out of the venue. And then I was like, I gotta wash my hands, I gotta wash my hands, I gotta wash my hands, I gotta wash my hands. And I think that, you know, I look back at that and I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of how I reacted or anything, but that does feel like what church should feel like. Like, instead of just being boring, it should be like, oh my God. Oh, wow. Everybody really is welcome. Oh, jeez. All right, cool.
Have you ever seen a zoo lion roar? It can't even roar. It's like, rawr, I guess. Like, it has no confidence. It's never had a struggle in its life, you know? If a zoo lion and me saw a lion from the wild, we would run together. Okay, not the same speed, but the same direction. That zoo lion would be like, he's from the streets. No? That's why I don't care. You know? That's why I don't care when people die at the zoo. Really? That's the lion that killed you? The Urkel of lions is the lion that the Sheldon of lions is the lion that killed. It didn't even mean to kill you. Zoo animals never mean to kill the person. They just slapped you and were like, the meat's not coming out of this one. I have no idea what's it's. He's being difficult. I'll tell you something I'll tell a lot of people. I don't even feel black some days. I feel like an alien that snatched a black guy and didn't do any research at all, didn't do anything, didn't read a book, didn't watch a movie, doesn't know what Boys in the Hood is, but loves trains. I feel like the person that you are in, you know, a split-second decision, that's who you really are. You know, when you don't get to weigh the options or worry about what people might think, you know, that snap decision, that's you in here. I'll give you an example. I was walking down the street in New York. This dude was walking down the opposite side of the street from me, just texting and walking in his own little world, just like texting and walking. And then he walked out into the street, but he didn't have the light. And cars are coming right at him, and he has no idea because he's still just texting and walking, just in his own little world, just texting and walking. And then without thinking, I saw a car that was like coming right at him, and I just ran for him as fast and as hard as I could and tackled him out of the way of a car and ended up saving his life. And not 8 hours later, I grabbed an old lady by the face so I didn't fall down. The same person did both those things in the same day, all right? Not a full 8 hours later, okay? Not a full shift at Denny's later, I'm walking and I slip on a grape because I'm a child, and as I'm falling, I reach for anything to keep my balance, okay? And I'm not looking, but I know it's a face, all right? I knew it was a face immediately. My finger went in her mouth, okay? I fish hooked an old lady so I didn't fall down. And why should I? I'm a hero. Most recent time I got broken up with in a text message, I had terrible food poisoning. All right? So I was at home on the toilet dealing with my food poisoning, okay? So I'm sitting there on the toilet and my ankle buzzed.
My ankle buzzed, sir, because that's where my phone is when it's in my pocket and my pants are down, all right? So my ankle was shaking, so I had to answer my ankle. I don't want you to be confused going forward, okay? And so I went in my ankle, I answered it, flipped open my phone, because that liberal arts degree turned out real well. So I flipped open my phone, read the text message, and it said, I don't love you. I don't think I ever loved you. I don't think I could ever love you. It's over. Now I feel like I've lost everything. Because not only do I have terrible diarrhea, but a complete stranger just broke up me. This is a wrong number. I don't know who this is. But then I text her back like, babe, we can make this work. All right, let's. Oh, I want to ask you guys a question. You ever go see a horror movie that's like about a creepy kid? Like the kid is haunted, like little kid is possessed, little kid like that kid, like. Is it just me, or is that kid never black? Never. But here's the thing, I think I know why. Because a black mom would beat that out immediately. Like, if that were me in my house being like, red rum, red rum, red rum. My mom would be like, where was that bass during choir practice? You want to get up in front of people and act shame, you need a scene like that there. Like, I don't even think a black mom would be scared. Like, she come home, everything's floating all poltergeist style, and she's like, okay, so you can make everything float, but you can't clean that room? You can't clean that room. No, I'm gonna be in there in 5 minutes. We'll see you haunted, okay? I don't know if you can tell by looking at me, but I was fired from being in a gang. They kicked me out because I was too positive. They were like, why you always smiling, dog? I'm like, I mean, none of us are dead or in jail, and we're a gang. They also kicked me out because I apologized too much. Our drive-bys sounded like, sorry. Like that's, after a while I saw their point, you know? And even when it came down to it and they were kicking me out and I was like, I just want to hang out with my friends and you guys are my friends and now I don't know what I'm gonna do. Why do I have to leave? And they were like, bro, you giggle. You just like a bad influence, dog. You know what I mean? Like, you over here bringing in puppies and lemonade and like. So I'm out. I didn't know that I looked busted today until a homeless man didn't bother asking me for change. And he asked everyone, all right? He was like, hey, brother, hey, brother, hey, brother, hey, brother. Hey, brother, hey, brother, hey, brother. Oh, it hurt my soul. I took an Uber to get here, and I've come to a decision. We should not be able to see the car in the app on the way to pick us up. It's a bad idea. You are only watching mistakes. You are just watching like, oh yeah, 6 rights and you'll be here. That's perfect. That is wonderful. That's just what I wanted, you know? No, take another right. That makes sense. No, you should pass me. You're right, you know? Sometimes the car will disappear and then reappear in a place that is still not here. You know what I mean? And you're like, wow, teleportation. I had no idea we had reached this level of technology. That's amazing. Sometimes the car will just start spinning. And it'll spin further away from you. And you're like, is he drunk? Should I get in the car, you know? It's terrible. And it's disrespectful to the driver, you know? Because it's only their job to drive you, not to look cool on the way to pick you up.
It's not their job to drift down the street and land in front of you perfectly. Pop the car door open like Ryan Gosling. It's just their job to drive you. They're not at work yet, and you're watching them. Imagine if you had that. Imagine if your boss had you on a screen before you got to work. It's like, okay, this man know he late, he going to Starbucks, all right. Okay, we're gonna have a discussion. I'm gonna tell you guys something, because we're family. Okay? I'm gonna tell you something I don't tell a lot of people. I don't even feel black some days. I feel like an alien that snatched a black bite and didn't do any research at all, didn't do anything, didn't read a book, didn't watch a movie, doesn't know what Boys in the Hood is, but loves trains. Like, I don't know if I haven't had enough dates for a grown man or too many dates for someone who's autistic, because I'm definitely on the spectrum. I talk about sharks too much on the front end of the conversation. I do know what one of my problems is. I lived alone too long. You know? I think everybody should live alone and be single for at least a year, you know? Get to know yourself, right? Right? You get to figure yourself out, because maybe it's you. You know, you get to live alone, get to be single, get to figure out what's going on in here. But if you do it too long, you just evolve into a monster. Just have a downward spiral. The first few months of living alone that you live alone are the most liberating months of your entire life. And the next months of living alone that you live alone are the most depressing months of your entire life. I had the weekend off the first month I ever lived alone. I was like, ooh. Looks like somebody's gonna be naked for the next 3 days. I gotta wear clothes for nobody. I'll be naked over here, it's gonna be great. I had that same weekend off 6 months later. I was like, what's the point of clothes? Now, I knew I was depressing my friends. I started getting gifts that were purely just to keep me alive. I just started getting puzzles left and right. My one friend, he gave me a cake, which would normally be nice, but he gave me too much cake. He gave me 7/8 of a huge, huge chocolate birthday cake. And I think in his head, he was like, this will keep him alive at least a week, and then I've done my part. I can't babysit. You know? But living alone, being single, that's too much freedom. I need a girlfriend or a roommate now just to shame me back to reality. You can do whatever you want. I can do whatever I want, no consequences, anytime I want. I got in the shower with an umbrella to see how it would feel. You looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. I got naked, all right? Got in the shower, turned the water, and lifted the umbrella. I was like, it does feel like rain. Will someone call today? Oh, it's just like being outside. Except I control the weather.